Hey everybody, today we are going to take a look at this old Pioneer. It's a great amplifier. This is a Pioneer SA-6500 I trash picked this, believe it or not. I was on my way to work one day and I saw its silver face gleaming from the top of someone's bin, so I pulled right over, blocked traffic for about 30 seconds as I hopped out and grabbed it and its tuner that goes with it. The tuner may or may not get fixed. The power switch on the tuner is actually sheared off. There's no knob or no extension to connect onto anymore. So I'm going to see if I can find an original switch for it somewhere. I haven't really put much effort into it yet because it is just an AM/FM tuner. But this actually works. But somebody at some point blew out one of the channels. They shorted the outputs and they replaced the outputs. But they use modern outputs instead of original NEC, which I found on eBay. So what we're going to do is open it up and we're going to replace the new outputs with the proper outputs. And then we're going to clean all the potentiometers and hook it up to some speakers. So sit back, get your coffee, and let's see how this goes. Alright, so I'm going to try some new camera angles. And I have the camera be in front of me. Here's me. There we go. There's me. And there's you. So let's start. Get these out of the way. And let me get a little tray for the screws. Let's see. There we go. Use a little dish. You always want a little container to hold your screws so you don't accidentally knock them over and lose them all. Now I have obviously had this open once, which is how I know that the outputs were changed. This was also a lot more physically dirty. It had, it looked like it had been sitting in a garage or a basement near a door for a while because it just had a lot of surface rust on it. It wasn't too bad. There's the inside. It's a great design. I love these old amplifiers. I'll zoom you in on the output section so that you can see what I mean. Tilt it a little bit, you get a little bit better view. There we go. So there's the original outputs right here. They have these funky insulators, which I don't have, so I'm going to have to improvise a little. I might print something or whittle something out of another chunk of plastic, but these are insulating the screws from the collector heat sinks. Looks like they have, yeah, they have mica pads behind these. These are the replacement. Whoever did it did a good job. It looks like they probably took it to a real shop. And the thing sounds fine with them. It's not like they're bad for it or anything. But the bias voltage is off just a little bit. And, you know, if I can put the real ones in, why don't I put the real ones in? That's what I figure at least. So to get to these, we do have to take the bottom off. So let's flip that back over and let's zoom you back out so you can see what I'm doing. And I really need to clean the potentiometers in here. And now the bottom is off. And we can see there's the PCB. So the area we're going to be working in is over here. Let's see if I can do this without making a lot of noise. So right here, these two, they got to come out. So let's fire the iron up. Now I need my desoldering accoutrements. And that should do it. I have my trusty 20+ year old DP100 desoldering pump. This thing is fantastic. I know some people don't like desoldering pumps, and I do use wick for a lot of things, but the pumps are just, you know, it's quick and easy. Actually, I'm gonna back you out. Oh, not in, out a little bit. All right. And I got a nice big tip on the iron. And we'll start here. I love the smell of old real solder. The lead and the flux just brings me back. I started doing this kind of work when I was, well, forever, but I started doing it for real when I was, I don't know, 15 maybe? I got a job at a local repair shop where I grew up after pestering them every few days for about a month to let me work there. My experience at the time was basically changing belts and VCRs. Oop, trace is pulling up. Let's get in there. So that one pad is starting to pull up. Hasn't pulled up yet, but I need to be a little more careful. Just being a little bit generous with the heat. So they used wires. There we go. And the wires were continuing to stick to the pad. So I was trying to use the iron to work them off, and it started to peel the pad up, and we don't want that. But the pad is okay, and those wires are loose. So then on this side, I think I may just see if I can just lift the wires up instead of using the pump. Yeah, this will work fine. There's not as much solder on this side either. That one and this one. There we go. Alright, so they're out of the way. That's good. That's good. More coffee. It's Saturday when I'm filming this, so coffee time. Alright, and let's go back to this side. And there they are. Let's get a screwdriver that'll fit in there. Alright, so got to get these guys out, and getting a screwdriver in there is going to be a little tough, so I'm going to use my right angle ratchet with screw adapter. Once these are loose, I can usually turn them by hand. I have to find 2 more screws for this side too. They did reuse one. Oh, hey, Wheezy. Louise the cat wants to see how things are going. Alright. So that should have these, yep, into the tray. There we go. There, we got those out. And these are, what do we got? 2SC4467, 2SA, what's that there? 1694. And these are good. There's nothing wrong with either of these, so I am going to keep them. I'll even leave the wires on because that's kind of handy. The mica pads I may keep there though, because I don't have pads for the other ones, and it looks like these might be the original. Yeah, well, that's kind of cool. Let's see if we can get those loose. Get, let's Let's see. Let me try some tweezers. There we are. Oh yeah. You see that? That's the original. So that's good. I am going to clean the grease though. I have new lithium grease to put on. So let me go get that lithium grease actually. Alright, so we're ready to put the new ones in. Although I realized I didn't have those plastic things. So I ended up making some. I had some, it's an old project box actually. I chopped up and then drilled some holes. And then I put, I don't know if you guys can see that yellow. I put heat shrink tubing on the screw so that it's insulated from the collector of the transistor. So in this situation, the 2SB are right next to each other, and then the 2SD is on the outside. So I'm going to slide, oops, almost forgot the heatsink compound. Going to do some heatsink compound and then the insulator pad, and then we'll put it all against the back here. So let's get some heatsink goo, not too much. If you put too much, it'll push it away, and then you won't have a good physical connection. And then I'm going to put a little bit on this side. That might even be too much. So I'll share. And I'll just do that. There we go. I'll set this one over here. All right. I guess I need to push those legs in a little bit so they fit through the little hole. Then we'll bend the legs once we get underneath. But line the screws up. They have those nice little pilot legs, and unfortunately the other one does not. Because I didn't have all the screws, so I had to go through my screw bin and find some that would fit. There we go. Got those started. Let's get the ratchet to finish it. And I'm bringing the screws in evenly. I don't want to bring one in too much further than the other and make things crooked. There we go. It's down all the way. That looks good. And then let's check. Well, here, listen. If you guys hear it beep, we go to continuity. Good. We should not hear. We should hear something here. Yep, good. But we should not hear something if I touch the collector, which we don't. So that's good. Alright, let's get the other side in. The screws are a little different on the other side. You can see they don't have the long point, but that should be okay. They have self-tapping threads, so they should re-thread themselves pretty easily. And again, it's got to squeeze those legs in. It's a cool design. I always like Pioneer. Kind of a no frills, all power kind of thing. Alright, that one started. And that one started. Now we can get the ratchet. And we'll seat them. thinking about recapping this. I was looking through my stuff and I don't have enough of the capacitors to really make it worth the while. So what I might do is start writing the values down and then put a order together so I can recap this at a later date. And I do see some of this heat shrink pushed up over the screw, so we definitely have to check, make sure none of that's shorted out. Go back to continuity. Yep. And that we should. Get to the collector. Dang. Alright, so the collector is shorted. It's touching. That's a shame. Wonder which one it is. We'll do one at a time. Now this one's pretty bare of heat shrink now. I think what I might have to do is grind a shoulder into the threads, because this one has no heat shrink left whatsoever. Let's see if it's still shorted. Nope. So that side's fine, it's just the one side. Maybe I can just redo the heat shrink. It's pretty straightforward. I just cut a piece and then slide it up and shrink it. So I'm going to cut a little piece off. Just a little, not even a 1/4 inch. Okay, so I did that. I slid another piece over. Let me get this old piece out. And it seems like it's fine. So let's see, let's go to ground. Screw, I do have continuity. Collector to screws, I do not. So that means that's good, that's good. That is also, oh, not that side, this side. That is also good. So we are insulated and we are attached. So let's flip it over and start soldering. Okay, so there's our new leads. We need to move them to their appropriate pad. Get the collector in a position, and the base, and then the emitter. This is that pad that started to pull up, but it was just on the edge, so it'll be okay. Especially once I get some new solder on it. There we are. And I'm pushing these legs over, kind of following what the other ones look like. Alright, now let's clean. I'm going to clean those pads, get the old flux off, and get ready for the new. We'll clean the legs too while we're at it. This is some just anhydrous isopropyl. Oops. That flux has been there a while. Alright. Iron's ready. Get the new solder. And I just get some new solder in place. There we go. They are now all in place, and let's clean the new connections. Alright, that's pretty good. Let's do another continuity check for shorts. Go to the screw that goes to the heat sink, right back. Here, I'll move it so you guys can see a little. There you go. Go on that screw, and then reading through a capacitor, yep. Same thing, reading through a capacitor. Love it. B to B, collectors are good. D to D, collectors are good. Emitter resistors. Where's the emitter resistor? Is that one? Nope. Let's see. Is that it? Yep, there's one. There's the other. So the emitter resistors are good too. So this probably is ready to go. Let me get the solder out of the way and turn the iron off. And let's plug this into some power. And we'll check some voltages just to make sure. So let me zoom out so you can see the board. The power cord over. I'm going to use my remote here. That way I can control the power from the outlet without unplugging it. And then let's get the meter so you can see it. So we're going to be checking for DC offset on the on all the outputs. So I'll just get a ground over here on the side. Main power switch is on. There we go. So that means now on the collector we should have, there we are, negative 33 on the B side, and then on the D side we should have positive 33, which we do. And I think I heard the relay. Heard this? No, no relay on this one. And then on the output, on the one side we have what, 0.2 on the, I'll call it the new side, and then on the old side, that'll be here, 0.8. See, that's lower. I wonder why. Might have to check the bias. Let's see what we got. It's the emitter. What do we have on the base? Got negative 0.5 on that base. So let's see on the other channel. Negative 0.58. Negative 0.58. That's pretty good. Let's look at that offset again. 0.024. Now again, this is without a load, so that might be why. Yeah, you got 0.003. Let's check both of these. We got here 0.64 on the D, 2SD. 0.60, 0.60, and 0.64. See, I don't think there's a bias adjustment in this for that. I might hook it up to speakers next just to see, because it's, I might be just being a little picky. This isn't a audiophile level amp, and that 0.04 of a volt may not really make that much of a difference. It also could be capacitors. Alright, let's look inside. Just verify that there's no, yeah, there's no, here, I'll move a little closer. Let's tilt it down. Yeah, see, there's no, they got that, it's just jumped out. Probably have a couple capacitors that should be changed that might clear that up. But that looks good in there. We have we do have a working amp. So let me get some speakers, and then we'll see how it sounds. Alright, now before we turn it on and listen to these little JBLs being pushed by it, I want to get some contact cleaner in there. Now everybody has their own preference, but between you and me and everyone else, this is the only stuff worth using, buying, purchasing, spraying, whatever. The Deoxit D5, it's fantastic. I've yet to use anything that works better. There's other stuff that works, sure. I mean, you can really use almost anything if it's some kind of cleaner. Rubbing alcohol works. But Deoxit, I am not sponsored by them or anything. I've just been using this stuff for 20 some years now. So Deoxit D5, they have the gold. They have stuff that's made just for faders and mixers, which is really nice, but for general cleaning, this stuff. So all I'm going to do is just kind of give a little bit goes a long way. So just give a little squirt inside, inside the pot, the back of it, and then just going to run them back and forth. This one's loose. I'm going to pull the knob off and tighten that. This one's loose too. That one, I think they're all loose. And then the switch. These are open switches. That's a speaker switch, so definitely you want to get that one good. And then the treble back and forth, back to center, and then volume up and down. And before I even turn it on, I'm going to take these knobs off and tighten those nuts. And then this is the selector, the input selector. So let's get a decent amount on there. It's only 3 positions. And that one's loose. I wonder why these are all loose. That's weird. Now down the bottom there's balance control. It's kind of hard to get into, but they have that little detent or stop in the top you can get stuff into. So that'll get the one side, but to get to the other side I'm going to have to bend the straw. I'm going to use needle nose so I can get it real good. There we go. And that got up inside. A lot of it came out, but I did get some up in there. In fact, I can feel it spinning a little nicer now. Now the switches, they're more difficult. I don't see an easy way in. So I may just see how it works before I try to fix something that isn't broken. Alright, so again, before I turn it on, we're going to take that knobs off the front and tighten those. So I ended up taking the faceplate off because it's just easier. So I couldn't get to all of these very easily without doing so. Yeah, and they're all just a little, barely loose. I'm only getting maybe 1/8 of a turn. I'm getting 1/8 of a turn on all of them, which is kind of weird. So this plate must have been off at some point. Much better. Now they're not moving. Oh, and you know what? I can spray and through the front of the switch this way. There we go. those tape monitor switches tend to get noisy. Okay, so now we can slide that faceplate back on. Alright, so knobs are all reattached, tone off, tape monitor off, auxiliary volume down, speaker A on. Let's get the phone ready. And let's get some YouTube. Let's see, let's get one of my videos. There we are. Run my American Idol CD karaoke machine. Volume's at the middle. Main power is on. Amp power is on. Hopefully the speakers don't go flying out. Alright, so far so good.
The lyrics. It did come with the CD, but I did not power it up. This is strictly for teardown. I don't have any of the cables. I'm sure I have a power cord that'll fit there somewhere, but
sounds good.
we all know what these do. So we're just going to tear it apart.
Let's put the tone section in.
Pop the disc out. Maybe I'll do a
Loudness is on.
video on the disc.
There's the bass.
Have, great tracks like America the Beautiful, Danny Boy, Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Tone control section works good.
America the Beautiful 5.
Right channel.
Oh, those
left
are
channel.
demonstrations. Got it.
Good.
You know, everything that was
Cat's
hot in
meowing in the
2003.
background.
There's the camera. I'm sure that's a nice high quality.
See?
You know, probably 480.
Volume down.
20. Yeah.
Volume up. Bass. Here, get a little bit of noise in the background. Speakers off. Speakers on.
There we go.
No crackling at all.
There we go.
Wish I could play music through this, but if I play music I'll get a copyright warning, so I have to use my own audio.
So that just goes into.
But you get the idea. Let's pause my other video so that I can finish talking about this video. So let's turn it off and put the top back on, because that's really all there is to finish now. Alright, so I wrote down a list of capacitors. I'm going to order some capacitors for this, and then we'll do a recap video, literally. Now I'm going to put the top on. Not many capacitors in this. I counted 29. It's interesting though how some of them they have different voltages. Like the 100 microfarad, there's 3 or 4 different voltages. This was back when they didn't worry about the parts as much as they worried about what it sounded like. Alright, that side, and then this side, and we will try it one more time just to make sure, because anybody who works on stuff knows the rule. If you don't try it before you put the top on like we did, when you do put the top on, it won't work. Why that is, I don't know. But that's what happens. So let's spin that back around so you can see the front. You can see everything? Yeah, just about. There we go. Let me turn my main power on. There we go. Let me get back into here. And here we go. Here's somebody I really like watching. If you guys don't watch Big Clive, you better, because Big Clive's awesome. Big shout out to Big Clive.
Was the high beam setting they worked fine, but in the low beam set, the dip beam setting.
So there we go. That's how you change the transistors in that Pioneer SA-6500 too. I will say these transistors are a little difficult to find in the US. I did have to order these on eBay from China, but I think it's worth it. I think having a nice balanced audio between the two is really the way to go. So if you have any questions, comments, criticisms, I don't know, want me to wish your cat a happy birthday, let me know in the comments below. As usual, do that, subscribe, like, dislike, all those little things I'm supposed to say at the end of the video, so I'm saying them now. Thanks for watching.